I don't like it when they scale down penetration. I like increased penetration.
Maximum penetration.
Maximum. I want 50 BMG a pit round.
Turret damage increased. Ma- Item mana regen increased. Baron Nashor damage increased.
Ooh, Baron's gonna do more damage.
Everything is the things that aren't champions are doing more damage. Yeah, it'll be interesting on that one. Definitely will define summer meta. I think it's funny that these changes seem to be more impactful than preseason.
Well, I mean, all that it changed preseason was the different Drake, right? And
Yeah, they changed the Drakes and then dropped one of them. So 50% of the pre-season changes they dropped.
Pepsi sounds good.
Right.
I
Real
I'm
sugar.
I'm a Pepsi enjoyer. Well, I mean, canned Pepsi doesn't have real sugar. It's still corn syrup. Oh. I did have a Mexican Coca Cola the other day with my lunch.
Always money.
Quite good. Do enjoy the 5 ingredient Coca Cola as opposed to paragraphs.
That's good. That's fair.
So MSI started today.
It did.
Uh,
It started today.
Karya and Gumayushi got 2v2'd a handful of times, but it didn't matter
Yeah,
because T1 just ran away with the rest of the game.
definitely.
Uh, yeah, so T1's going to win their group, RNG's going to win their group, G2's going to win their group. Who's going to be the fourth team?
Uh, is it just straight into? Well, they'll have 8 teams for quarters, right? Don't they take the top two from every team, every
There's
group, and then the bottom ones have the cross bracket nonsense?
So what I was hearing about the format is it was supposed to be 3 groups of 12. One team didn't make it.
Hmm.
Groups 1 and 2 are doing a double round robin. Group 3 is doing a quadruple round robin.
Hmm.
And then it goes to best of best of threes within the group.
Oh, no, it goes to the round. Is this the Rumble stage or whatever? And then they're gonna have the actual groups stage. Yeah, the group stage next, where it's like the top 6 teams just doing this again, and then it goes straight into the, yeah, that's how it's gonna be. So we're taking the top two from every group. So T1, either Saigon or Detonation on that one. I expect probably Detonation, because Saigon is the number 2 from Vietnam anyway. And then we'll see Royal Never Give Up and probably Red Canids maybe, which would be fucking hysterical. Brazil would lose their shit. And then obviously G2EG. And then we get to do this group stage again.
Yay. Um I don't have much to say about the games today. Um
I
what
was
did I see?
I was thinking about that earlier too. Also just in the context of the ping apparently is kind of trash. In general, it's not like actually just 35 ping because it's fabricated. It feels like shit apparently. I don't know. I've just kind of, this is hearsay shit, but it's getting pretty hard to look at this MSI and really care strongly
Yeah, I'm just
about
waiting
it.
for LCS summer to start back up, really. It's um like yay, we have an international event, but it's at a manufactured ping and it doesn't really make sense.
Doublelift was talking about it. Apparently, he was being told by like tactical, because he's out there playing with them or some like boot camping in Korea, since a lot of teams are. But that he said it felt more like 50 to 60 ping with packet loss randomly, and apparently it's not even that consistent or something. I don't know, but that's gonna Faker was quoted in an interview as saying that the ping is going to define the meta at the tournament. And I think if that's what the
What did he
greatest is
play?
saying, today, Twisted Fate.
Play Twisted Fate. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of stuff without skill shots, point and clicks.
Well, Caps played Anivia, but that has the wall and the slow fields. You can land skill shots with 30 ping,
Yeah, also
60
like
ping.
the hitbox on that stun is huge.
Yeah, that was an interesting. That was a nice draft adaptation that really fucked EG. But apparently, EG's drafting coach is also in quarantine still.
I heard that.
Yeah, so yeah. There's a lot of things. We'll see how the Rumble stage ends up going. I expect as long as EG doesn't like bomb out and not make it to the next stage, who cares? And honestly,
I
even
did like
now,
the
it's
Samira from
tournament.
Danny. I thought that was a good
Mhm.
because like I feel like they're probably gonna be playing a lot more like solo queue where it's gonna be like, all right, because of the ping, you're not really gonna be able to have these highly coordinated, precise things happen. I mean, you can be coordinated, but you can't be really precise with it. So, okay, just go, just have fun with it. Like I
Maybe,
want to see people have fun with it. Like it's
I think
MSI.
comps. Yeah, maybe Misfortune is going to be pretty popular this tournament for that reason, especially since I think she combos nicely with a few of the meta picks right now. Wukong is proving to be strong. No surprise. Karthus is already have priority again. No surprise. I think everything's been pretty stock standard. You can tell they're still feeling out the new AD meta without the hyper carries and that sort of like all in protect the ADC comps. Not going to be super as viable now that Jinx isn't as good, is like kind of removed from the picture with her base HP nerfs.
With as many times as I saw Umbral Glaive come out, I thought of you.
Yeah, dude. I didn't expect it to make Jin more relevant and stuff, but I am not surprised. Yeah, Umbral Glaive
Jin
so
can
right now
clear
is so good.
wards.
I I think the adaptation is interesting, but I just have issues with Jin. I think your comp has to really be built around the fact that there's going to be a Jin. Like you can't just plot a Jin in as the utility ADC in every comp and expect success.
You got to have consistent damage everywhere. I think if you got like what was it played with a Gwen and a Wukong,
Yeah,
and like
that's true.
that's really good because if he lands a root, I mean even his ult slowing, getting execution so they can move on to the next target, and they don't have to worry about like last hitting somebody, and like he can just get that execute damage in there and drop some drop some slow, drop some root, and
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good. I like what's coming out of some of the teams. I want
the
to
Gwen
see.
pickup surprised me.
Hmm?
The Gwen pickup, her cycling back into the meta so quickly kind of surprised me. I wonder if that'll hold throughout the entire event.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see as it goes on. I mean, it's only day one, so we'll see as the meta evolves. I just hope that EG can truck through and make it to best of series.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I'm ready to see more of serious team competition. I'm glad that we're going to get quite a few EG G2 matches in this group stage shit. So like, they're going to play each other 4 times. It's almost a best of 5. So that's very interesting. I kind of hope they end 2-2 just for like stupid hype. I'm pretty sure it won't happen, but
I wouldn't be surprised if
it's
G2
just
doesn't drop a game in their group.
they will. I expect they will. I think EG will take at least one from them in 4. You know, We'll see. I didn't think they would beat them on day one, but I thought that maybe they could beat them in day two. G2 got the warm up game against Australia. EG had to go on cold. Like we could see. I don't think it was like that far off distance. Like Broken Blade was not looking amazing, so like he could be exploited if Impact plays a bit better in the early laning phase and can carry some momentum. I think it's doable. You know, we'll see how it goes. I'm still, and I also want to see inspired on a playmaking champ. I know he does do the farming and pathing, and he could play Karthus great, but like I don't think the team
Oh,
can work
that reminds me
without him.
that's what a T1 pick that I really liked was the Vi jungle.
Oh, did they play Vi? That's
Yeah,
right. I forgot.
the
I
owner
wasn't
played
thinking about that.
Vi, and it was good. And I was like, yeah, I've been saying Vi's good, even though I've been saying top lane, but
Now, ever since that one buff came through, I can't remember what patch it was exactly, but once that buff came through, she was pretty strong. Yeah, and I think she's got a lot of onus. I think the champions like Vi are going to be probably pretty strong in this jungle, especially once these changes come in. I'm actually really excited about the summer meta, which is kind of funny since MSI is going on right now, and I'm still just like, oh, well, what about 12.10?
yeah, I can bring us right into 12.10. This doesn't have to be an hour long episode
Oh no, this would be a pretty short one, I
because
think.
MSI is pretty boring right now. I can't
Yeah,
watch it live because I don't work nights anymore. I work normal people schedule, so I am asleep at normal people times.
it's day one. All these we still have to see how these teams are going to end up being. Like a lot, some of the wild cards just got stomped by their the Giga opponents, and like who cares? It doesn't tell you anything. I'm
Yeah,
expecting PSG is probably going to disappoint. It's looking like. It'd be cool if Brazil was better than people expected for fun, just for a storyline. I expect Turkey to play a bit better, so we'll see what Wildcats does with the rest of their group.
but yeah,
Yeah,
12.10.
12.10.
So we got durability changes coming.
Hmm.
Champions are getting tankier. Turrets and Baron are getting stronger.
And all healing forms and shielding forms are being reduced in all places. It's going to be interesting. I think it'll definitely skew the meta a bit. I don't. I'm still undecided if I think it'll make us go, oh, here's a tank meta again. I think and hope this might just be enough to make tanks like, oh, you could pick a tank here and play the tank and have the comp work, and it won't be a big deal because you can't 1v1 the 80s like because you can't murder the ADC at 20 minutes or whatever. And ultimately, the damage, especially out of ADC roles and some mages, has gotten pretty crazy. So I'm glad they're going to scale it back a little bit. Having the dynamic team fights won't hurt anything.
No, it should be interesting. I'm glad that we're gonna have a nice change going into summer. I hate when the meta is, even though like there's tweaks on the patches, it's just stale all year long, except for maybe a couple like strong buffs or big nerfs that really try to shake things up, and where this will hopefully get people thinking a bit more and trying to figure out the puzzle of it of like, okay, what is the strongest? Well, like what feels what feels good? So it's gonna be nice.
Yeah. And I think the champions that could possibly benefit from this a lot are champions that want to be in the fight longer. Like I'm immediately thinking Red Kane. Rost is going to. This sounds like a Rost buff. Like we might immediately think that the Omnivamp sounds like it's a nerf, but I think the durability is more important than just the healing numbers necessarily. He's always going to be healing, but so like champions that can do shit like that. I think Nasus, things like maybe York actually is a little. Maybe this is the little push that puts him into that broken that you don't ever think about level of champions. And it's also a direct nerf to enchanters, which I think are pretty blanket broken in League of Legends. They're
I think
just
they've been needing a bit of a nerf, but because like
yeah,
of the other stats they give besides healing and shielding, like on hit slows, attack speeds, on hit damages, all of that sorts, they do too much.
they're definitely strong. And it's thank God that most people who are good at the game think they're boring or just e-girl champions or whatever, because if anyone with, you know, who was anyone other than LS did this stuff, the meta would be very different, I think. Because I don't think it was just a fluke or anything random that we saw two enchanters broken out mid randomly at the beginning of NA LCS season, and they both scored pretty dominating wins. And I think that was a great just like display of what is strong in League and why it's strong. And finally, we got to see like at least a creative expression of that. But hopefully, we'll see more in the future now that this tank stuff is making it simpler for the older folk
I
like
think this is
us.
also an indirect buff to players like Bwippa
Hmm.
who like to get in there and do stuff and try to be like playing on the edge and playing dangerously, where like they'll be able to get away with more things than they should than they weren't able to before.
Yeah, yeah, like champion players like Impact and Someday, who've been around for a long time, who have the diversity in their pool. They'll definitely make the adaptation quickly. It's
You're telling me they're buffing Ornn indirectly?
well, technically all champs thank or all tanks, thank God. But yeah, I think it's going to be the durability esque champs. Like Juggernauts will probably this will be enough of the boon to I think make Juggernauts like like good, like not just like B tier needing execution,
Like
like
Vi
actually
and
good.
Wukong, who have armor shred built into their kit.
Mhm. Mhm.
Aatrox, he's getting less healing, but he's also just going to stick around in the fight a bit longer,
Mhm. I think with
which he wants to
champions
do.
like
He wants
that,
to get
yeah,
several rotations of his Q off.
exactly. And then he still has good healing numbers in his kit. Who cares if they're just
Yeah,
10% down?
yeah, but he also has he has percent armor shred
Mhm.
in his E. Vi has percent armor shred. Wukong
Yeah.
Wukong gains armor. Does he have his Q ignores the percentage of armor?
Yeah, I don't know the exact
Yeah,
numbers on
his
all
Q
those.
ignores the percentage of armor. But stuff like that. I think Vayne uh, dealing true damage going to be pretty good.
More relevant. Yeah, I think her. Yeah, we'll see how. Vane's question is interesting to me because from pro perspective, like high elo players, like Vayne is only good when other ADCs are bad. Is like the joke or like, and I kind of understand that with the sense of her range being a limitation when other ADCs are like actually pretty solid because it's just hard for her to operate in those lanes a lot of time. In a situation where skills are relatively even on both sides of the table, right? So that's I hope we don't ever get to the point where we have another Vayne S tier ADC meta because that's generally just not a good sign, But that's just kind of how it is. It's that's fine, yeah. It's just kind of how, especially now with all the new releases, like all the new champions, because
Oh, when do we get the new champion? Who is it? It's
it's supposed to be a jungler, right? It's going to be the Void Empress or something. Isn't that the next one?
oh yeah.
I'm
I
not
think
making that up, right?
yeah, I think that'll be this summer. That
Hmm.
that'll be the summer release. Are we getting one at like a season, like not like a season of pro play, but like a season, like we're getting a winter, spring, fall, summer,
Kind of
right?
pretty seasonally. I'm not sure they seem to always talk about wanting to have it stick to a pattern or a schedule, and they always break it. So, we'll see how that goes.
Just like me, I'm just like
you know, but yeah, I'm I'm curious. It should be fun. I think it'll be good changes. But yeah, it's just gonna be. I don't know. I it's always interesting trying to think of like what you think the champion pool shifts could be, and I wonder if it's just gonna make everything feel a little bit more stock standard of like stereotypical team comps where like a tank utility top and then you might have kind of skirmishy but also utility jungle and then control mage and then like decent scaling AD with more utility and the support, maybe an enchanter, but I don't hate that.
I think it'll actually give a bit more flexibility
That's what I'm hoping too.
because you're going to be like, okay, well, you don't need to really have as much hard CC like these, or it'll also be like if you run an all damage comp, you'll have that a bit more of like, okay, you have time for the outplays. If you're confident in your hands, you can actually be like, all right, we have an all damage comp. It's not like we're just going to get caught out and one shot by the enemy tank. You get that time to move around and breathe. And if you're a tank, you're going to be a little bit even more tankier, so you get to stick it out. So I'm hoping that'll be uh, be more flexible because
Yeah.
I went actually the other day. I turned on Twitch and there was a Dota tournament happening, and so I'm like, fuck it. I used to love Dota. I'll watch it. I'll watch the game, and there's some new, um, what do they call them? They're heroes. They call them heroes in Dota, not champions.
Yeah,
And took me a minute to like gather what was going on, but that game has changed so much over the past several years. Like they've slowed it down even more. Whereas like usually like a quick game could you could have a game end in 20-25 minutes if you got real snowbally. And a long game could be over an hour. And now it's like average game time is like 45 50 minutes.
I don't like that personally.
Um I do and I don't. I like it because it's almost like watching an MMA fight where you can watch the like it's more exciting to watch the guys stand up on their feet and just swing and bang and you know someone's going to get knocked out. But when it goes to the ground and you see two guys grappling, it can look really boring unless you kind of know what's going on. You're actually like watching it and you're like the smallest of movements, you're like, "Oh shit, that was brilliant."
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's where like League I think is more of the like watching people stand up and box a bit like a game can end like that, whereas in Dota like it's kind of like you can win the team fight, but by the time you even get halfway across that map, they're respawned and the buybacks. It's a different game. I'm just talking about how like they've changed that game and they've slowed it down. Um, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they like if they do that with League, or even if like in some seasons it's a faster meta, some seasons it's a slower meta, and if they consciously make those decisions, that would be really cool.
I think it would be cool if their choices and like how they yielded was more intentional. But there definitely has been like tides on that level. You know, season 6 is really when damage started to take off more, and this pace of the game was really starting to pick up. It had a mild lull, I would say, in like season 8 when they did the scuttle crab bullshit and made the game kind of like hard to play, and they had to adjust that. Ooh, excuse me. But other than that, I would say they've been increasing the pace of the game. I don't dislike that. I like that they have these things that sort of create instances where engagement happens.
Yeah,
I don't hate that they're going to make these changes to make the game slow down. And I hope they don't have to get to the point where they're putting like Sightstone back in, because like that is going to be the thing that's really going to slow the game down and make it more meticulous again. And I think they can, if they added like 7% to 12% duration, that would be flawless. Because I think 23 to 26 minutes being a pretty fast game, and like 26 to 32 feeling pretty normal is a pretty good range. And then like 40-ish and plus is like that is a long game. And hopefully those will happen if they are not actually close. Because that's, we don't want to get to the point where games feel like they drag out because teams can't close, even if the game is already like snowballed. But we'll see. I
like
think it'll be good.
as long
We
as they
still got to
don't do
get through.
what Dota did, where the game got so slow to where even if you had your full 6 items, you still had to. You, they ended up giving you like side slots that are your items that you own and have but aren't equipped. So depending on the situation of the game state, you can switch out your items.
This is in Dota.
Yeah.
Damn, like so you got a sideboard in your in your MOBA.
Yes. And also
Yeah.
they added skill trees a
Ugh,
few years back to where like you level up your abilities as normal, like one through up, but then they also added in skill trees where they add modifiers to your abilities as you level up, and you get to pick a tree side. And the
that sounds
game's
Blizzard.
the game's
It
gotten
sounds so it sounds so
complicated.
Blizzard.
It's not Blizzard though; it's run by Valve.
I know that's the problem.
Um, Speaking of
All this
sideboards,
little integration
um,
bullshit.
I have been steady in the top 100 Mythic on Arena.
Nice, nice.
I peaked at 48 last night. I went on like a 6 game win streak. It was pretty nice.
I invited that tangent. That's fine. I'll take it. I agree. You have been playing. I wish I could catch your streams more to see some other games other than that one day.
Yeah, I'm
But
trying to get to the point where I'm streaming Tuesdays and Wednesdays. um, from 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then I'm giving myself like I'm like at least if I do at least 4 hours, then I'm doing it. Um, if I eventually, hopefully before the year's over, I can get also like a night or two during the week, where I stream for like 2 hours, just play some Magic. I'm really enjoying streaming Magic. I'm really enjoying playing Magic. Um, so this is where I'm going to tie it into the podcast: is my ideas on picks and my feeling and my intuition of picks and item things are going to go a bit out there. So I'm going to be talking more just about like the pro games, um, stuff like that, because I'm really enjoying not being tilted. It's really nice. I'm a lot more even
Sometimes,
keel.
sometimes you just gotta take a little break, you know, just kind of cool and like chill out a bit. I get, you know,
I mean, if I didn't hit Mythic in Arena and be in the top 100, sure, I'd go play. I'd play more games of League, but I'm crushing it, dude. I'm pretty fucking good at Magic, man.
all the game. Well, we'll see how it all ends up going with the changes in 12.10. It's going to be a while till we see pro play on it for sure. We got to get through MSI and it's a few more weeks. You know, not much to report so far. No one's looking amazing. Shocker, you know. But hopefully. And then we got a few rumors with you know, that C9 team is basically confirmed at Fudge, Blabber, Jensen, Berserker, Sven.
I'd
That
forgot
could
about that.
definitely be a
I'm
drop.
excited to
Yeah,
see that.
for sure. I'm
Um,
interested to see how Fudge adapts to a meta that could be different now that his champ pool might just be completely thrown to the wind, you know? Hopefully that's not damning because his competition is effectively Champion Ocean playing the game for almost a decade, Korean, you know, top laners, and then Bwipo. So he has to be able to match the diversity, you know, in the changes. But I wonder if it'll change the mid pool much. That's the curious one. Things like Galio might be popular again. I think Galio's good. He's good right now too.
I think
So
I think it'll add overall diversity to the rest of the game. I think we'll be able to start to see, especially in NA, more of like maybe even some like brawlers, like
mhm.
like some bruisers going in there, set a bruiser pantheon build.
There's there was a when the Juggernaut like there was a Juggernaut patch that happened. I think it was season 5. I don't remember exactly when, but at Worlds, Darius was like fucking broken. Like Darius was the strongest champion on the patch at Worlds 1 year. Like Balls was like hard stuck D4, D3 in Korea, solo queue, and he got a penta at Worlds on Darius. It was fucking hysterical. But maybe it'll be like that again. I think that was like the patch when Sterix and stuff was introduced. It was a pretty wild time.
Well, also
Watching the game evolve was interesting back then.
I was gonna add maybe we'll see like Victor's top again
Mm.
instead of mid. Like give him that time to scale up and that space to scale up, because they won't be doing as much in the early without items. I don't think with the durability changes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like the levels 1 through 5 might be really might feel drastically different for a lot of for like obviously will for a lot of champions, but like I wonder how rare kill threat will be in a realistic sense. This isn't huge changes, but they are noticeable. It is 70 at level 1 HP. So that's like
Yeah, with base
what,
resistance,
2 ruby crystals?
that's 2 or 3 auto attacks.
Yeah. It's like yeah, it's like 2 ruby crystals or some shit. That's not nothing. We're talking almost 1,000 gold of stats that are all defensive. You know,
Yeah,
it
it's
could
not
be
gonna
really
be.
defining.
It's not. Yeah, you're not. It's not gonna be ignorable.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I mean,
So I think
if
that's what's
pros will
exciting,
stop
ultimately.
playing a champion when it loses 50 base AD, imagine
Well, yeah, that's
adding.
that's hard though, for sure.
Yeah, but imagine adding
Yeah,
70.
70. It's huge.
So
It's also kind of a nerf to like pots and stuff too that are all healing like effectively a smaller percentage of your HP now. And percent missing and stuff will be might be a little more better again.
Yeah, Kaisa, which they also did just buff her passive recently when they nerfed her W a little bit. They buffed her passive back up from
Yeah.
like it was like 2%, like back up to like 5.5, I think.
I think Kaisa's still in a good spot, and I'm glad that they moved her away from just W spam AP. I don't
Yeah,
mind AP. I think the AP
uh,
builds are cool, but I think it should be about attack speed still.
I think also on hit's gonna be I think a thing again.
Yeah, because of percent health on
Like
Blade.
I wouldn't mind seeing an on hit Varus again. Like I think like that was what like some of the most fun I've had in the AD spot was playing like on hit Varus
Yeah,
because he auto attacks so fast. It's actually insane. You get one like, it was so fun. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I would expect that if they don't like alter too much with champions, I think we'll see some on hits, some tanks. I think maybe some like good flanking champs that provide a lot to a team fight. Vi, Kennen.
oh, we already see Kennen quite a bit. I think obviously, I think he's always gonna be
We
popular because of
don't.
that ult. Yeah, we don't. Like, if you
I'm
watch some
I'm
other
talking
stuff,
LCS meta. I'm not talking worldwide.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking LCS.
I'm just thinking. Yeah, I've been thinking about what's going to be good in the game at this point, in a general sense, not even necessarily on the pro meta, because it's just these are going to be huge changes, obviously, as far as the numbers just aren't ignorable. Yeah, as we've already talked into the
All right.
ground, obviously. So
I know this game isn't Dota, and I know this. I brought it up again, but I would like to see it go. This is the one way I do want to see it go towards Dota. Is that every champion is viable in the right team comp, and every team comp is viable depending on what team comp it's facing. To where
I
like
definitely agree with that.
that's what I want to see. I want to see people playing like I know LS talked about it a lot. How people have their handful of champions, and that's what they practice, and they keep good at it. I want to see a meta to where people are having to play consistently five, six, seven, eight champions like over the course of a season, like consistently. Like they have 2, 3 games on all of those. Or maybe they have their team comp that works, then someone else figures it out. And I really want to get into that kind of a meta, like very internalized, where people are playing with what they're good at, and then other teams like, oh, this is good against that, and it just like not like we have to lock this in because it's the best champion in the game. We have to.
I agree with that. I think if we got to the point where the concepts behind what is good was more um, what was sought after directly instead of like this is good, this item has broken stats, this champion is super strong, and instead we start going to the point of, well, having this kind of composition is really good at this point in time because of these reasons. If you execute it like this, there's already that approach in some mindset, but mostly in team fighting, elements. But if we really approach that more, and if things like this could help people start to think about the game more, because I think that is I don't I really do agree with a lack of imagination. I think whenever you look at the game, and if you've played it for a long time, and sometimes you do stuff that's off kilter, and like sometimes it's trolling, and it is, like, we don't have to talk about stupid stuff, but like I remember playing Nautilus support right before that became like a big thing, because he used to be a jungler and a top laner, and then I was playing him support, and I got told like, "Oh, that guy doesn't work," all the time. And then it became huge. And then after Nautilus became a huge thing, like when top lane tanks were still strong, I played him top because he was released as a tank that was in the jungle, but also played top a lot. And he was still fine in top lane back then. And I still got told by people, "Oh, that champion is a support through and through." And like, it's just like, no, dude, like you don't understand. You're not thinking about the game right. This game is not that straightforward. Everything is so much more malleable. And whenever people are like literally just putting the square in the square hole and not even looking at any other shapes, and this is the game, and like you're talking about League of Legends, bro.
Well,
Like
you
the
have
only
to
reason I love the
blame
game
Riot
is
for
the
part of
depth.
that too, because when they like put out a champion, like like when you click on an icon of what lane you want to see champions of it, it's the most played from the previous patch. So
Yeah,
if
but
people don't see it on that tab, they're gonna Like,
They also stood by a support Singed player who played a really unconventional method of the game. Like didn't support his AD, was like perma roaming and doing a lot of other stuff that would tilt the crap out of anyone who's playing the game in a conventional mindset. But he executed it well. He was trying to win, and he had a good win rate on it. Like he was good. He knew what he was doing. It's similar to the boss in that regard. But like obviously playing with him, you would not have that opinion. So like, and Riot came out with a big statement talking about how the game is, not so direct and you can do these things. I think it is honestly the pro scene pushing on this a little bit, because if you remember when ADs were nerfed pretty hard in general in like 7 and 8 when they were pretty weak, and like you start to see more mages pop out into the bot lane because ADs were weak, and like so many people were pushing back so hard on that because one role was like, oh, you have a new slew of champions that might be better now, and all those players were like, no,
I actually think
no.
like having like a full AD topside and then put like your scaling mage like down the bot lane like with a support champ is a very viable strategy. I think it's good, especially
It
like
is.
depending on the champions. Like you, if you have two fucking bruiser juggernauts up top and an assassin in the jungle or something, or some utility champion, and then you go, all right, we're gonna put our Azir in the bot lane,
But the
let him
player
scale up.
base pushed back against it, and that's the problem. If you remember, there was jokes about like Reckless and Double of having to learn AP champions and how bad they were on mages. Like if you remember fucking Double as Vladimir games, holy shit.
No,
And
as an ADC, I can say I am trash at mages.
yeah, and it's just like that's the thing when like I've since I've played jungle specifically for all of my years basically, the role gets like, grabbed by its ankles and turned overhead basically every 2 years at least, right? Like it gets redefined. So the fact that like we watch the one player base completely whine about having to pick up 8 new champions, as a jungler, I can't stop laughing. The reason why I've approached the game the way I have with like playing everything is because it changed jungle changed so much. So it's like cool, I could learn and play like a Volibear and Nautilus all the time, which is what I played a lot when I was new. But it's just like, all right, cool. Well, this shit sucks sometimes, and like if I want to win games, like I got to learn to play stuff that's good when it's good, and I have to know how to play that champion when it's good, and know like what it wants to do, because that helps you play against it as well. So you just got to know that, and it gets to the point now where the player base I think is more about like, well, I play 1 or 3 champions and one role at my rank level, and if I was autofilled or banned out, I am literally bronze 4 trash. But those people are the ones that are the most egotistical about how good they are, quote unquote. And it's just like that's
Well,
not the right approach to the game, and that's the problem. Is that's the difference that rank role queue has done ultimately. And I think most people, if we started to like dissect it and like the mindset and like these approaches and like yada yada, that's probably where it started. Because back when rank was fucking blind pick, basically, you had to call out your role. You were going to not be on your pick a lot of the time. So you had to play stuff, all stuff. Maybe you only played 2 roles or 3 roles, but you had to be able to play more than one thing because that other guy's not going to give you mid every time, and you can't just always dodge. So it's a different realm, and hopefully things like this will create that diversity. We just need more energy on it.
and that's why you have to. You're still here. You have to share this video around. You have to take a clip of this, put it on Reddit, give it answers, give some shit to the community. I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say. I was trying to be like deep and philosophical about how this is very important, and it is. But
Yeah,
if you made it
it's
this
about
far, congratulations. Thank you. Like and subscribe, comment, it helps a
making
lot.
it through episode what 8 of season
Episode
1,
8 of the Pod of Ages, where we do the opening at the end.
because sometimes that's how it is in real life too. The opening is at the end
Sometimes when a door closes, another one doesn't open.
at all. You're just stuck in a closet. It's just
Like R.
what are you gonna do?
Kelly with
Like a hard cat. What was that with a gun?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
So for everybody
fucking early.
watching, our last game the enemy top laner. We didn't realize it until the end of the game, but his username was Sad with a Gun.
It's just
And
the lulz.
chef's
The
kiss.
lulz.
Beautiful username. I'm Doomfunk. This is Paradox Pope. This was the best podcast hosted by two silver boomer armchair analysts.
There ever was.
And there ever will be. Good night, everybody.